Hello and welcome to day 78 on the Pacific Crest Trail. I don't want to say that today was miserable, but there's definitely been a lot of disappointment and inconvenience today. It started off fairly well. We had a bit of uphill, but nothing out of the ordinary. And then the mosquitoes began, and they didn't stop. We were able to walk through them at first, and we had some lovely views around Thousand Island Lake, and a really nice lunch together. Despite the barrage of mosquitoes, they kind of kept off a little bit in the sunshine. I thought that I'd lost a lid to one of my water bottles, but magically it appeared when we were about to leave, so it wasn't too bad. And yeah, we had a good time, great fun at lunch, just kind of messing about, listening to a bunch of music in the Ducklings playlist. It was just a lovely time, really. So after lunch, Jumpscare and I kind of pulled ahead from the others, and then I pulled away from her as we started going up the pass. The ascent wasn't the worst in terms of steepness, but mosquitoes, they were relentless. This was Donahue Pass, so it's kind of the last of the big passes as far as I'm aware. There's a teeny little bit of snow, but nothing compared to what we've seen the last few days. So going up, the mosquitoes, if you stopped, they swarmed, and even if you didn't, there was always probably about 3 on you at a time, so I was constantly checking one shoulder, the other shoulder, and my legs to see if there were any there. And it was very stressful, very frustrating, and it made it very difficult to appreciate the views. And finally I got to the top, and this was 11,000 feet in the air, and there were still mosquitoes. Not as bad, but I kind of put on my rain jacket to protect myself and hid in the shade where possible. Seemed to get a little bit better on the way down, and the way down was kind of exciting because we were entering Yosemite. So yeah, very exciting little area. Still in the northern Sierras before we hit NorCal. But yeah, it's a cool little area. It's where we're going to go, hopefully, for a little explore tomorrow. Need to make sure we can actually camp somewhere tomorrow night so that we can go up Clouds Rest. But we'll see. We'll figure it all out. Something will work out. And yeah, so it started to get a bit cooler. It's probably around 5:30, 6 o'clock at this time, I think. So yeah, down the side of a valley, so it was nice and shaded, nice and cool. And I was actually doing really well. There were those little waterfalls along the way. I was so proud of myself for keeping my feet dry the whole day. But it was false hope in terms of mosquitoes and dry feet, because right at the bottom there was a wide but really calm river, so it was more of a lake than anything else. And it was the end of the day, and we had to walk through it. I didn't want to get my feet wet, so I had to take off my shoes. But this is where the mosquitoes are probably at their worst, sitting down, trying to flap about, trying to keep them all off while taking your shoes off was very difficult. And yeah, just stressful really. So you're trying to walk through the lake. Luckily, they weren't too bad while in the water, but the water was very cold. Finally made it to the other side, and then trying to warm up myself and my feet and avoid the mosquitoes, which was very difficult. It kind of makes me a bit scared because I've only really heard about Northern California and Oregon being known for the really bad mosquitoes, so I'm very seriously considering getting myself some trousers and a mosquito net shirt or something to keep me safe. So Jumpscare and I finally made it to the camp around 7 p.m. and set up a little arrow using our camp shoes as a guide for the others. Birdsong came along about 30 minutes later, but she said that Scales was in front of her, but she hadn't arrived. So we weren't sure if Scales had her Garmin switched on, but Birdsong did mention she thought she might have gone on to the next campsite, which was a mile away. So I sent her a message, and I kind of chased after her to see if I could catch her before she got there, just to make sure she knew where we were. And I finally managed to catch up to her 0.9 miles away, so only 0.1 away from the campsite and 600 feet down. So what had happened was she'd only seen one of the camp shoes and assumed that Jumpscare had dropped it, so she picked it up and carried it on her merry way. and very understandably did not want to go back up the 600 feet back to the campsite at the end of the day when it was starting to get dark. Her legs were really tired throughout the day, so didn't want to risk any injury, and we'll have a whole day tomorrow to chill, which will be nice. So yeah, I came back up the hill to a very buggy campsite and to make myself some lovely dinner and go to bed. Let's hope that tomorrow is more pleasant. I'll see you there.